Welcome to the latest installation of the Ticket Manager All Access podcast. Appreciate Mike Daum, the CMO of Golden One, being here today. Very excited to hear more about what Golden One is doing. Know it sort of started with Californians pooling together resources to do things in the community, and fast forward to today, and now you've got more than 1 million members, more than 20 billion worth of assets, and you're pouring millions in to different important programs across California. And I think for the sports and entertainment world, obviously Golden One's known for the Sacramento Kings and the name on the arena in Sacramento, and certainly want to talk a little bit about B2B hospitality and ticket management and all of that. So with that, Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. It's great to have this time with you today.
Absolutely. And I know community is very important to Golden One. Maybe let's start there. So can you tell us a little bit about the Financial Resource Center with Del Paso Heights that you help build, and sort of the in-person collaborations that you use to build real trust there, and kind of what brands can maybe take from that approach?
Absolutely, yeah. We've had a couple of really significant milestone decisions that we've made as a credit union in the last 10, 15 years. And our commitment and partnership in Del Paso Heights is definitely one of them. So a few years ago, we decided to make an investment of $10 million in a neighborhood community of Sacramento in Del Paso Heights. And it was an opportunity for us to go in and work with the community to figure out ways to make a difference. So rather than just cutting a check and handing it over and walking away, we actually sat down and we worked with the community committees and the residents and the local leaders and business community in the marketplace to say, what could we do together to make a difference? And what came out of that was obviously some charitable donations and some support for different organizations, but we also wanted to physically have a presence in that market as well. Mm-hmm. And in some areas that are more challenged, they tend to be folks that are either underbanked or even in some cases unbanked. And we wanted to help to reshape that as well, to make sure that they had financial services in that marketplace where maybe they wouldn't otherwise exist, or they would exist in a way that maybe wasn't as friendly for the consumers there as well. And so what we did was we came up with this concept of a financial resource center, similar to a traditional financial branch or bank or credit union branch, but with so many more engaging opportunities. So we have financial educators that are on site that do financial seminars. We do financial counseling for folks to help them get started in building credit or rebuilding credit. We have different events and activities where we use it as an aggregator for the community to come together as well, as a place where we do different type of events and celebrations and community functions as well. And so it really started with this idea of, we knew we wanted to be part of that community, and we knew we wanted to make an impact, but let's listen first. Let's go in and see what the community needs from us, figure out a partnership that makes sense for both sides, and then come together as one. We were able to do that. So we like to talk about the fact that we're for people, not for profit. This is a great example of that. And based off the success of that, we're actually starting to expand that into additional markets as well. We just opened up another financial resource center in Madera, and we're going to continue to do that in other parts of California in the future, just based on that success of what we're seeing in terms of how it's helping the community in those markets, how it's helping to engage them in a different way that they haven't seen in the past. And then frankly, for us, how we're actually seeing it benefit us in terms of helping us to foster growth.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a great collaboration, and which is excellent. And I think, what leads me to my next question, which is a slightly different but interesting approach, where Golden One gave $50,000 directly to Grant High's student body, but then let them decide how to use it. And so I was just curious, why did sort of handing over control maybe create that deeper connection in that instance?
Right. It's the old adage, right, of, do you give somebody the fish or do you teach them to fish, right? And so this idea of what happens when you give choices and let folks come together and determine on their own what's the best way to apply resources that you're providing to them as well, with some guidance and with some support. And so that's what we did with Grant High School. Was we said, hey, we've got $50,000. That's part of that broader $10 million in Del Paso Heights. Let's let the student body and the folks at the school help to determine how could this best be put to use for impact. And, they identify things like academics, they identify things like attendance, right? Because that's looking, they understand the same things as well. grades, showing up to class, right? Consistency in absorbing the school experience and engaging. Those are some of the best, key indicators of success and performance that's going to help them regardless of what vocation or what entrepreneurialism or what type of advanced education that they pursue after school. And so for us, it was like really nice to see that just, this idea of giving choices and then seeing how that can blossom into innovative ideas. And again, back to what I talked about a second ago with, our opportunities in Del Paso Heights, then we learn from that. And then we can apply that in other communities and with other schools and with other partners as well. So it almost becomes this very organic way to develop best practices or develop, common activities that we can port out to other parts of the state of California to help our communities.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we talked about two different ways you can engage with communities. And then there's this third spoke, right, which is your employees. And I know that, every year they're spending hundreds of hours volunteering in the community. How does getting your team into the community kind of feed back into your business?
Yeah, this is huge for Golden One. And I would also say just the credit unions in general are very well known and well regarded for giving back to the communities, not just financially, but then also with the value of their time as well, right? So their gifts, their talents, and their time. And so we actually have hours allotted to us as employees as well that the credit union affords to the employees to encourage them to go out and spend time that we pay for out in the community because we realize there's a value to that. And that's an important part of us delivering our mission as well. And then we really try to make sure that we're emphasizing kind of our core values and core principles. So things like financial education, youth and family. So some of the key pillars that we have in terms of what mission delivery looks like to us as a credit union across the state of California as well. There's sometimes you can, and we're all in different life stages as well as humans. And so I personally, for myself, I remember there was a time when, I didn't have the financial means to make donations and to contribute out of, my bank account in the same way that I would have liked to. But the one thing I could do was I can contribute my time.
Sure.
And so, some folks can do it financially, some folks can do it with their labor, and some folks can do it with their talents as well. So if you can go in and help, folks with their financial literacy, if you can help folks to go plant a garden, right? We do a lot of things in different markets from different parts of the marketplace across California for different purposes, but it allows our employees to not only utilize the skills that they use at work every day, but then also them to team together for bigger purposes and bigger efforts as well with different organizations, which is really meaningful as well. So not only just the financial component of it, but actually having, folks out there in the marketplace actually contributing in the communities that they live in and that we serve in across the state.
It's fantastic. And I know community is so important. I think maybe let's move into the digital space now.
Yeah.
And obviously very hot topic is AI.
Of course.
I know that Golden One uses AI thoughtfully, of course. Can you just talk a little bit about how you use AI, where sort of tech's enabling better human engagement, and maybe how you'd recommend execs sort of balance that digital efficiency with sort of human relationships?
Yes. The word that comes to mind for me is intentionality. So, how can we use artificial intelligence, machine learning as a tool with intention to help to continue to deliver these authentic experiences and these authentic moments and these authentic support and service to our membership and to our communities as well. On the marketing and communication side, obviously, there's a lot of great tools that are helping in terms of developing creative. We work really closely with our agency partners in terms of the tool sets that they're using as well. And it's nice because we're not cutting out the human aspect or the human element of the development of what we're doing with AI, but we're using it to help to either expedite so we can get something to market faster, so that we can maybe look at some more broadly informed activities or initiatives that are informed by a broader data set than we might be able to source on our own. And so this kind of quick cycle test and learn, this quick cycle creative development that we've got as well, particularly in the digital age. And so the consumer, a lot of times, our membership and our prospective membership, they don't look at things and say, oh, that's digital, that's branch, that's whatever it is. It's all, how do I holistically absorb my brand experience that I have with Golden One? And so I look at it through that lens in terms of how it can all add additional value. And it's also helped us to kind of future-proof our team members as well, because they're expanding their skill sets. So copywriters also need to be better proofers, and creative folks need to make sure that we're developing creative through a lens of authenticity in terms of the images that we're sourcing as well, so that people look at it and it looks like it's within our brand, and it also is human. Yeah. So what we're trying to avoid is gimmicks and anything that looks like it's not an authentic or an intentional way for us to put it out there, so that we can say that we're using AI. And I think that's one of the advantages of the credit union model is we don't have to chase after those type of pursuits for us. And so we always want to make sure that what we put out there has been, touched and engaged by human members of our team, and that anything that's going out has that oversight and purpose to make sure that there's, again, intentionality in terms of why are we using this tool, what's the means to an end, and how is it improving what we're offering out to our membership or out to our communities.
Yeah, and you mentioned as part of your explanation, which was great, how you really want the authentic images as part of what you're putting out, and maybe sticking with that word authentic. As we think about Golden One Arena and how it's more than just an arena for you, right? It's this platform, and you can host people, and that's meaningful to deepen relationships. How do you do that to keep it authentic, right? And make it really work for the business?
Absolutely. It's a very, again, I've mentioned there's a couple kind of key decisions that the credit unions made in the last 15 or so years. Part of it was expanding into statewide eligibility, so we can serve members across the state. If you live or work in California, Del Paso Heights is a more recent one, and then the Golden One Credit Union Center. That was a major decision for us, not only in terms of helping to advance our brand and the prominence of our brand, but the genesis of it was really, what can it do as far as community is concerned? And so, rather than just say, hey, here's a naming rights deal, and we're going to strike a check, and we're going to pay this over a number of years, and we're going to get these tangible benefits. We do so much to activate. I've got an amazing sponsorship team, and we've got a fantastic partnership with the folks over at the Golden One Center, as well as with the Sacramento Kings. And we have activation promotions. We do something called Member Monday. So if there's a home game on a Monday, we let some of our members come in early, and they get a chance to do a behind the scenes tour, and they get to interact with our mascot, and they get to have a chance to be down on the court, and things that they might otherwise not have access to in their daily lives. But it's something we can put forward to them as a member benefit as well.
And it's memorable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we get them, ticket discounts that they can have to access, so that they can get to a game, merchandise discounts, things as well. But then from a community perspective, Michael, we also have a lot of the utilization of the opportunities or the access that we get as part of Golden One Center, we give back to the community. So our suites that we have a suite at the arena, we give back 50% plus one event. So we always make sure that more than 50% of the utilization of that suite goes back to community groups or community causes. And so this gives them an opportunity to come in. They can bring their folks in. They can have a chance to partake in this. They can have a chance to utilize that space in a way that they might not otherwise as well. So those are things that allow us to give back. That's a very uncommon type of practice for a corporate naming rights partnership. I think in comparison to doing kind of traditional business development or other type of recognition or activities. So that's one, but we also have a scholarship, activity or event that we do there every year as well for our scholarship program, which is phenomenal. And we do other things like a shootout. We do different fundraising as well for community groups to also give them exposure to the attendees that go to the games. There's just a multitude of different ways that we've found to be able to utilize this as a platform to help to advance our mission and also advance our investment and commitment to the community.
And I think it sounds like you have a very, 360 degrees approach, if you will. And obviously, everyone always talks about event ROI and sponsorship ROI, and is it a good investment? How do you measure the impact of the hospitality and the different things you're doing? And then frankly, as a second part of that question, how do you use Ticket Manager to help you sort of keep track of all that?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, right? You have to measure what matters. And so obviously we can quantify how many community groups that we engage with. We can, we understand how much we're contributing back in terms of the spend we have, but we've also worked really closely with the ownership of the Sacramento Kings, Golden One Center, and then also with the city of Sacramento, we have participated in studies that talk about the economic impact of the arena in Sacramento and in Doco, the neighborhood, surrounding the arena, and seeing what the tangible impact of that is as well. And then for us, we actually measure and do research and have done prospect and member studies to just understand in terms of how well and effective are our activations and measure those. What types of opportunities do we have? And so we get learnings from that, and then we apply those learnings to our future activation plans. And so we actually just did a big study last year. So we're just approaching the 10-year mark of the partnership. And so we spent last season actually doing some of these studies and some of the research, quantified it, build out some scorecards and some metrics. And we actually have applied that to some of the activities that we're doing this season. So we're trying to amplify the partnership more outside of just downtown and the arena. And we're trying to do more. We put some more bells and whistles into some of the activations that we have with the venue as well. And then also trying to bring more of the experience into the branch network as well across our branches across the Sacramento region also. And so that continuous learning, that continuous exploration. And for us, from an experience perspective, what we identified a few years ago was our experience of manually distributing our tickets, because we have obviously community groups. We've got
can be laborious.
It's very laborious, and it's also very manual, which means that it's hard to track.
Yep.
It takes a lot of effort, and it's also got a lot of risk of gaps, right? Experiential gaps, things not getting from point A to point B, the inability to track something down if you need to. And so Ticket Manager solved a big problem for us because it allowed us to be able to have a platform that we could use to up the experience level for the folks receiving the tickets. It's allowed us to be able to put measurements in place. So we actually know to a person, is the person we gave that ticket to the person that actually showed up at the venue? Did that person show up at the venue, right? So we can quantify the usage. And then also the feedback from the recipients has been, the arenas and the venues are going to so many more automated types of practices and digital practices for entering arenas and for paying for things, everything else. And so it's allowed us to keep up in that digital age of being able to have your ticket in your digital wallet and be able to seamlessly get into the venue. And it just really helped us improve the experience that we're giving to both external parties as well as to our internal folks as well that are actually attending the games.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be able to measure the things you're doing is massive, and cut down on gaps can only help you as you have internal conversations that matter and justify expense and all those sorts of things.
Absolutely. And for us, in addition to Golden One Center and the Sacramento Kings, we also have some tickets to some other venues as well.
Sure.
And so it's also giving us opportunities to make sure that we're taking the best advantage of those also, because we also can, if we determine that we want to distribute tickets, and sell them on the secondary market, or if we want to procure for business purposes, we have business services now. So we're really starting to wade more heavily into the small business space. It also gives us the opportunity that we can look to be able to acquire tickets for different events or activities across California, if we're interested as well. So it's not just the distribution of the tickets, but it's also full service in terms of opportunity and access to tickets to other events.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic. And I always like ending these sorts of podcasts with some fun rapid fire questions. This time, the Sacramento edition of Rapid Fire.
Okay, all right.
All right, here we go. Favorite live event you've ever attended and why?
Okay, so I grew up in Ohio. And so I was in Toledo, about an hour from Detroit.
Okay.
And so live music and live events was a huge thing for me and my friends. And so I've had so many opportunities to see so many amazing events. I've seen both sports and concerts. I've seen Stevie Ray Vaughan and Prince, and had a chance to go to a Rock Hall induction ceremony at one point and see, Metallica be inducted, and Run DMC, like, so cool. Had a chance to see Tiger and Phil play together in the famous 2000 year of Tiger at Firestone, and get to walk around with those guys for a round together as well. But the one that stands out most for me was a very long time ago. I had the opportunity to go see U2 at the Fox Theater in Detroit.
Okay.
5,000 people.
Wow.
Right? You have those moments where you look back in hindsight and you know that something incredible is happening, but you don't fully appreciate it at the moment that they were getting ready to explode. And this was back in the unforgettable fire for the U2 fans at that point. And back then, you didn't have the ticket access that you have today. So if you wanted to go to shows like that, when they went on sale, you either had to be at the box office or you had to go sleep out at your local record store and then go in there, and then they would get the access. And so we ended up getting third row seats at the Fox. It was an incredible experience. Actually, in preparation for this, I was thinking that you might ask this question, and I actually went back and I was able to find the set list and a bootleg of the actual show on YouTube.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I listened to that concert on YouTube, and it takes me back to that moment decades ago when I was actually there. And that's the beauty of the digital age. And now it's a lot easier because if I want to go to that show, I can just go out and buy the tickets online. So
that's right.
instead of freezing for the night, waiting outside a record store in Ohio.
But it made it that much more memorable when you were sitting in the third row. So there's that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so back to Golden One. Favorite community event you have hosted and what made it so memorable?
Yes, so many options there. The one that really has stood out for me in the couple years, 2 years that I've been with Golden One is our scholarship program is, I think, one of the most incredible things that we do. So we've given out more than 600 scholarships to students, traditional and non-traditional, over the last 12, 13 years that we have as well. It's in excess of $5 million that we've given as well. And they write essays, and we look at those essays and with the partnership with a third party, and we look at the essays and help to decide which ones that we award the scholarships to. And then we have a big celebration. And so they all come together. We've been doing it at the Golden One Center as like a private event, so which just kind of makes it extra special, bring in some speakers. And it's just such a neat opportunity to see these folks that are like pursuing their education. But then in a lot of cases also, you'll go there and you'll find out that a lot of the students are going to the same college, but they've never met each other. And they just form these kind of natural cliques where they're getting together, where they're finding that they're going to the same schools, and watch them interplay and watch them interact. It's really cool. It's really special.
Maybe going back to sports in the arena, King's buzzer beater or River Cats fireworks?
King's buzzer beater, I think, is I haven't done the fireworks yet, but a buzzer beater for the Kings, and especially anytime they win and you get to light the beam, that is
good times.
Everybody needs to experience that moment. It's very special just to have that experience, and then to walk out of the arena and be heading back to your car and look backwards and see the beam lit up, from miles away. It's pretty cool.
What about Doko? Did I pronounce that right? Tacos?
Yes.
Or arena funnel cake?
All the above. I haven't found any taco or a funnel cake that I would walk past, so it's all good. And there's a ton of great concessions and things as well. One of the nice things with Golden One Center that we really respect and appreciate is a few years ago it was named as like the #1 NBA arena by ESPN in the country. Yep. And so they really do a nice job with like local vendors and local foods that's around there. And when you're out in Doko beforehand, there's sausage vendors and hot dog vendors and other things that are out there. It's a true experience both outside the arena as well as coming inside.
So last one, what is one Sacramento hot take people should know who don't know that much about Sacramento?
It's a great question. When I first came to Sacramento a few years ago, I'd moved from out of state. So I'm a newly minted Californian. One of the first things people mentioned to me was Sacramento's great. You're 2 hours to Lake Tahoe, you're an hour to Napa, you're an hour and a half to San Francisco, et cetera. What I found is that you can stay in Sacramento and the greater Sacramento area and have a blast. There's an amazing farmer's market. There's some fantastic farm to table restaurants. Obviously, you've got the Golden One Center and all the events and activities that happen down in Doko. And there's just any multitude of different things that you can do here as well. So my hot take would be, you can stay within the city limits and within Sacramento proper and still have a really great time. You don't have to get in your car and drive to one of those other towns.
I love that. So we'll close as I jotted these down for our leaders who are listening. Important to build loyalty through in-person collaboration. Let tech like AI do a lot of the heavy lifting so your team can be present when it counts.
Mm-hmm.
And hospitality is a strategy, not a perk, because you can measure it in lasting relationships and it's not just transactional. Did I get all that right with my notes?
Absolutely. Spot on.
All right. Well, I love that. Well, look, for Ticket Manager, thank you so much, Mike, for joining this latest installment of the Ticket Manager podcast.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you, and good luck to you in Golden One.
All right, Michael, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time, and thank you to Ticket Manager.